It's SmackDown review time, boys and girls. Well, the show starts off with a Sheamus promo. Nothing special here. Just talks about what he's going to do to Del Rio at No Way Out. Otunga comes out, tells him that he has to apologize for pushing Laurinaitis 2 weeks ago. Yeah, they're still doing this whole apology thing. Enough with it already. It's so fucking annoying. More of that pussy PG apologizing shit that they're trying to shove down everybody's throat. You have to be nice in professional wrestling. Don't push anybody. Besides the point that the point of wrestling is to beat the shit out of your opponent. They want you to overlook that, I guess. Anyway, Sheamus, of course, doesn't want to apologize. Del Rio comes out, and we find out that Del Rio gets to pick Sheamus' opponent for tonight. And this segment was just a fucking waste of 15 minutes. They didn't have to have all this. They could have just announced it. Something a lot better in its place. This was just a very boring segment with boring characters. Otunga is boring. Sheamus is pretty good with promos, but it just wasn't interesting. Feels like the same thing week after week with Del Rio coming out there. Another guy very boring with his promos. So this is just a very, very boring segment to open up the show. Horrible way to set the tone for the evening. Sin Cara beat Heath Slater in our first match, and I have to say Sin Cara is back. One of the few good wrestlers in WWE right now that I really like, and he looked very impressive here. The sad thing is about Slater is that he's being used as a jobber when actually he's a pretty good worker, and even more so, he has a lot of personality. I mean, he has a lot of charisma, and WWE just doesn't see that in Heath Slater, but I do. But anyway, great to see Sin Cara back in the ring. I'm a fan. And, it really doesn't matter that Jericho and Orton are gone. Because we got Sin Cara back, and if they push him to the top, I'll be just fine with that. In the second match, we see Damian Sandow beating Ezekiel Jackson in the minute. I don't believe this for one fucking minute. How the hell are you supposed to buy Damian Sandow beating a monstrous-looking man like Ezekiel Jackson? I don't know. It looks like Ezekiel pissed WWE off in some way. Someone is angry at Zeke in management because he was Intercontinental Champion less than a year ago, and now he's just a fucking ham and egger. It's ridiculous. And I don't know about Sandow. We've only seen 2 moves from him really. What can he really do in the ring? I didn't see what he did in FCW. But I don't know. I really don't see. I just, you look at someone like Sandow, and you just look at him and say, like, I don't really see a lot coming from this guy. He just doesn't have the look or anything. I guess his promos are boring. I guess he pulls off the character what he's trying to do. He doesn't stumble or stutter in any of his promos. Good delivery, but not interesting and just tiresome. It's an old gimmick that Triple H used to use. Again, this is just like another squash match here. It lasted a minute. And the Sin Cara match was a squash match. So you get 2 squash matches back to back. It's a little excessive. In the back, Del Rio picks Dolph Ziggler to face Sheamus, which is a pretty good pick. In the third match, Ryback beats 2 jobbers in a handicap match. Now, what the fuck is going on here? Are you serious? 3 jobber matches back to back to back. 3 jobber matches in a row. Our first 3 matches are jobber squash matches. That's ridiculous. How about some variety? It's like WWE doesn't get it when they're booking their shows about variety, originality, entertainment. It's called World Wrestling Entertainment, but they forget that this is not entertaining. Nobody is into the Sandow character. nobody really fucking cares about Ryback. Just because they're going, oh, for a few of his high impact moves, doesn't mean they like him. Just a couple of weeks ago, they were chanting Goldberg, which is, an insult for him. And it's getting tiresome. He's been in WWE for over 2 months now, and he's had the same match. And each match he adds or varies one move. I'm not impressed. I am not impressed in any wrestler until they deliver a good match. And until you could deliver at least a 3-star matchup, I really, really don't fucking care about you. Next up, we got Sheamus and Ziggler. I was disappointed in this match. I thought that this was going to be a lot better. I like the fact that Vicky Guerrero started the introduction for Dolph Ziggler like she usually does. Ziggler comes out, grabs a mic, and says, I'm going to beat the world champion. Interrupts her. Shows that he doesn't care about Vicky Guerrero anymore, that he's his own man. That's a smart move. Dolph Ziggler is definitely within the top 5 wrestlers in the company right now. And that's great to see. This matchup had some botches, which really brought it down. One horrible, phony-looking DDT counter. One part where Ziggler was looking to Irish whip Sheamus, and Sheamus was trying to Irish whip him back in for the Irish curse. Just looked shitty. There was an X Factor from the top rope from Ziggler. That looked great. Really cool, innovative move there. And I gotta say, it was a decent match. If I were to rate it, I'd give it 2 stars. I just think that they could have done a lot better, because Sheamus is a good talent and Ziggler is even better. And funny thing is, last week was when it happened. Was Jack Swagger actually had a better match with Sheamus? I believe I rated that one about 2.5 stars last week. So yeah, I'm actually surprised. I thought Ziggler would give the better performance. The matches were about of equal time, so I just thought the Swagger match had better psychology, and there weren't any annoying botches in it like tonight. Next up is Santino and Ryder beating O'Neal and Young, and again, this is a 1-minute match, so I mean you could kind of consider it a squash match. This is like fucking ridiculous because there's 4 matches that are fucking squash matches. What the, I don't understand. Obviously they're giving up on O'Neal and David Young, losing this quickly. They had a winning streak and now they're not winning anymore. They lost 2 weeks in a row. And, last week to the Usos, which didn't make any sense because, WWE's not going to do anything with the Usos, and you know that. And Santino and Ryder just a comedy tag team that would just be ridiculous, and they're never going to win the tag titles. Just a fucking waste. After the match, Big Show comes out, lethargic beatdown. A stiff punch to Santino. Scoop slamming Ryder on the steel steps. Some hard bumps, stiff shots, but again he did that same thing he did on Monday, wasting like a minute of our lives by just looking and staring around. The Big Show is just fucking boring. His promos are boring, the beatdowns are boring, the matches are boring. Everything is boring when it comes to the Big Show. So may I suggest that the Big Show just fucking leave already. I thought when they were firing the Big Show that this was a way for him to make his exit from the WWE, and I guess I was wrong. This Big Show has just gotten even worse. He's just gotten even worse. If that's even fathomable. He's actually degenerated into a much worse wrestler than he already was. Next up, we've got Cody Rhodes, and he beats Tyson Kidd in another squash match. Count them, 5 squash matches. You have 6 matches so far, 5 squash matches. It's ridiculous. I don't know what the fuck. I mean, first of all, Tyson Kidd is a very talented wrestler and just being wasted here. Hilarious part, Christian with a ridiculous looking hat on. Michael Cole tells him that he looks like a conductor. Hilarious stuff. But yeah, again, Cody Rhodes beating Tyson Kidd in like a 2-minute match. Squash matches everywhere. Next up, Kane and CM Punk fight to a no contest. This matchup picked up before we went to the first commercial break. It was very boring, very slow, lethargically paced. But the second half, leading up to the Daniel Bryan interference, was some pretty decent stuff, actually. With some nice counters here and there. AJ came to ringside. Not a bad match, like a 2-star match, but, again, nothing to write home about. And anyway, Kane just choke slams both Punk and Bryan. Laurinaitis comes out at the end, says it's going to be a triple threat match, completely ruining the main event for No Way Out. Why would you put Kane in the match with Punk and Bryan after you saw them deliver 2 great matches back to back? Unless they're trying to save the rubber match for Punk and Bryan for SummerSlam. But I don't know what their plans are. We got Money in the Bank coming up, so I don't know what they're going to do after that. That's when they're going to have Punk and Bryan, but I got a feeling they're going to save it for SummerSlam. But anyway, I just don't understand why they would put Kane in there with Punk and Bryan. I mean, it's like Punk and Bryan are up here, and then Kane just bringing the quality of the match down by that much. It doesn't make any sense. It's not a good booking decision. Why they roped Kane into this whole feud was just ridiculous. It didn't need to be done, but they have nothing for Kane right now. He was on the pre-show of the last pay-per-view, so they're really desperate, grasping at straws. So this is what you got. Overall, you had 2 matches on the card that I rated 2 stars, but then you had a bunch of others that were just squash matches, and a ridiculous amount of squash matches, and it's ridiculous, and it made for a ridiculous episode. I mean, I really can't say this show is good if you missed it to go back and watch it, because it really wasn't worth it. There was nothing that great. I can't really recommend the 2-star matches to go back and watch them. I mean, they were all right matches, but all the other shit was just completely pointless. It's the same thing every week. So it's not a really good show.